All right, well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for braving the cold and being here with us tonight. I would like to call the regular board meeting of the GFW Public School Board ISD number 2365 on January 21st, 2025 at the Gibbon Elementary School at 6:02 p.m. I think we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Dr. Smith, I believe you would like to add something to our agenda tonight.
Right, I have item I'd like board to act on, a proposal to change the school calendar for this year. Minor change, but so that'll be none, we'll put it at C under action items.
I'll make a motion to add it. Item letter C under action items to the school calendar.
Second. In favor? Right. Motion approved. Now we can approve the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda for this evening?
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda.
Second?
I'll second.
No? All right. Motion approved. All those in favor, sorry, up. All right, thank you. All right, Mrs. Elmer, any visitor recognition or public comments tonight?
No.
Okay, thank you. Consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda? George, you have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? All right. Consent agenda approved. On to information items. Dr. Smith, how about a superintendent report?
Sure. I had MSBA conference on here. I'll let the board members speak to that, but that was last week. I do want to make note, it's paraprofessional recognition week this week all across Minnesota. So certainly want to extend our gratitude and appreciation to all of our paraprofessionals who assist in our education system every day. In our classrooms, in our lunchroom, on the playground, they just do an awful lot for our students. So you see a para around, certainly give them some recognition, which they certainly deserve. Gibbon and Winthrop building surveys, just wanted to give an update on that. We have the results back from those surveys that we had out to our communities about what to do with the existing school buildings. And I have a meeting scheduled Friday this week with the city administrators where I'll be sharing that information. And our plan at that meeting is kind of look at next steps as far as having a public meeting in each of our communities to invite public in and share the results of the survey and see what next steps we should take as far as seeing what will happen to these school buildings. So we'll know more certainly after this week, and I'll make that survey available after I have that meeting with those city administrators. Just a quick building update. You can see things happening out there. Obviously, it's easier to work when it's 30 degrees like it was last week. And they poured floors in the middle school and high school wing, all except the CTE classrooms, which are now heated, but not yet poured at this time. The kitchen area is also heated. They'll be doing a lot of underground plumbing and electrical in that space. So that is getting thought out as of now. Base brick is going on the southwest corner of the building or on the elementary wing. That's where you see the scaffolding and the torn up plastic thanks to the wind, but they've made some progress during those warmer days. I don't think they even attempted on days like today. Framing continues to go on in the elementary wing, in the classrooms, and electricians, plumbers, and HVAC contractors are in those wings as well, doing a lot of work. So those spaces are changing every day. Let's see. Oh, and then more metal framing on the east end. So where the students will be entering, the door frames are going in that area. So it's just starting to take shape in more areas as well. Other things, we had a site team meeting on the second Monday, so last Monday night. That site team is transitioning a little bit. You know, that really was driving committee behind a lot of the referendum discussion and then the building design as well. And now we're looking at what's next on the to-do list for that committee. And it's also kind of, in some ways, merging that committee with the Thunderbird Foundation. So we get a more active meeting schedule of our foundation and bring more notice to that foundation. So that right now we are scheduled to meet every other month on the second Monday. So not an every month meeting. That is all I have at this time.
Okay, well, thank you, Dr. Smith. Did they say they got about 60 to 70 workers out there right now?
Right, yeah, he said after that concrete gets poured, they might be bumping up 75 to 100 workers
Yep.
on site. So now that we have two areas. And
Things are
ready to
happening
go
fast
Yeah,
then.
yep.
All right, well, thank you very much. Mrs. Thompson, could we get a elementary principal report? And will you be doing the high school one for
Yes,
Principal
and-
Jacobson as well?
Yeah, I'm gonna read Aaron's too as well.
Okay.
Thank you and good evening to everyone. First, I just want to say thank you to our paraprofessionals during this paraprofessional appreciation week. We certainly appreciate all that they do here at the elementary school. Our T-Bird Way is actually going to be honoring them as our school heroes for the month at our next assembly, which it doesn't happen to fall this week, it falls next week, but we'll be doing some special things for them throughout the rest of the month of January. So just want to thank them. Also, we have We Love to Read Month coming up in February, which will have our annual reading fundraiser and several events along with that, including an assembly by a magician who presents on reading and leadership, some dress-up days, a camping in the classroom. So there'll be all kinds of events for that going on in February, and that's always a fun time. Our winter concert, as you know, got rescheduled, and so we had that at the beginning of January, and actually it's never fun to reschedule something like that, but it went really well. We had great attendance. The kids most of them were here for it, so that went very well. And I was happy because it's not always easy to reschedule those things. Our staff development days in January also I heard really good feedback from our staff about the Youth Frontiers retreat that was here. They expressed appreciation for that opportunity. We just are completing our winter benchmarking. So once we get that done, we'll take a look at the data from that and make instructional adjustments as needed. And also we have kindergarten kickoff coming up on March 25th at 1:30 and 5:30. We did meet yesterday to plan for that event and look forward to helping our families with the next step in their child's education. Also, I just want to say thank you to Sharon Fossum for Spirit of the Season. We helped over 100 students within the GFW area over that time. So that is a program, if you're not familiar with it, where we are able to assist our families with things that they need, and especially during the holiday season. T-Bird Community Arts has been exploring the idea of going under the Thunderbird Foundation rather than community education. We're going to discuss the pros and cons at the next board meeting to make a final decision on that. We do have licensing for 2 summer musicals, and I'm getting ready to write the grant through Prairie Lakes Regional Arts Center that we get to be able to do that summer camp and the summer musical. Joe Voss has agreed to direct the summer musical again, and he and the production team for that musical will make the final decision between the 2 musicals that we have licensing for. So. As far as Mrs. Jacobson's report, she said to me, this is a really long one. You don't have to read all of it, but I think we can get through it here, and I hate to cut any of it out. So she says, as always, there are many things happening at the middle school, high school level. This month, we're highlighting a few groups to showcase the outstanding progress and accomplishments within these programs, reflecting the dedication of GFW students and staff. FFA update, the GFW FFA chapter is preparing for an active and productive new year, with contests resuming for the remainder of the school year. Their goal is to qualify teams for the state FFA convention in April. Currently, members are focused on preparing for proficiency interviews and pursuing their state FFA degrees. At the chapter level, they will organize activities for FFA week in February, designed to engage the entire school and community. The week's events will culminate in their 4th annual CTE College and Career Fair on Friday, February 21st, where local businesses and colleges will connect with students to provide valuable future opportunities. Student Council update. The Student Council is finalizing plans for Sweetheart Week, scheduled for February 3rd through 8th. This week will include school-wide activities such as bingo, a student favorite, and the sale of crush cans for Valentine's Day. The highlight of the week will be the Sweetheart Dance on Saturday, February 8th, open to students in grades 9th through 12th grade. In December, the council successfully hosted Winter Week, featuring dress-up days and interactive activities like Find the Hidden Snowflake. Students' participation was high, and we hope to see even greater involvement during the month of February. National Honor Society update. In January, the NHS hosted its annual fundraiser, assisting with the JH basketball tournament over 2 weekends. Members have also supported vision and hearing screenings at the elementary and PLS campuses, contributing to the health and well-being of our students. Recently, NHS thanked the top homerooms from the holiday food drive by serving root beer floats during lunch. Upcoming activities, including assisting with Student of the Month celebrations and DJing in the middle school dance. Middle School Knowledge Bowl update. The Middle School Knowledge Bowl concluded its season in December with 2 teams qualifying for regionals. Both Team Gold and Team Red consistently performed well throughout the season, with top 10 finishes at their first meet. At regionals, Team Gold placed 19th and Team Red placed 25th. For many participants, this was their first or second season, marking a strong foundation for future success. High School Knowledge Bowl update. The High School Knowledge Bowl season is progressing well, with 3 teams and 14 students participating. Our teams consist of 7 returning seniors, 2 additional seniors, 1 returning junior, a first-time junior, and 3 sophomores. Despite challenges at the first meet due to absences, all teams demonstrated improvement at the second meet. GFW Black earned a top 10 finish, placing 9th out of 34 teams, while GFW Red ranked 15th and GFW Gold placed 28th. Students are engaged, learning, and enjoying the competitive environment as they prepare for meets in January and February. Band and choir update. The band and choir programs are preparing for an eventful March, including the solo and ensemble contest, large group contest, and the Florida trip. On January 17th, 6 GFW high school students participated in an honor band event at MSU Mankato. These students were selected for their talents and joined 200 musicians from across the state in a day of rehearsals and a concert. Both programs are experiencing growth in student participation and skills. The choir is also preparing for their spring concert, a Disney workshop, and the end of semester variety show. Health screening update. The health office had a productive fall semester, completing vision and hearing screenings for approximately 300 students in grades K through 8, with assistance from Rasmussen College nursing students and NHS members. This collaboration allowed for efficient screenings and the early identification of potential concerns, ensuring students have the resources needed for academic success. Theater one-act play. This year, the fall play was a musical, marking the first collaboration in GFW history with Sibley East. This partnership aims to expand our theater program and strengthen ties with the school we already collaborate with for the MSHSL OAP. Following a successful fall performance, we quickly began rehearsals for the 23-24 OAP. With winter break shortening The schedule, students had a limited window to learn lines, develop characters, practicing blocking, build and paint the set, and rehearse setup and tear down all within competition guidelines. Their dedication was further tested as GFW hosted its inaugural Winter One Act Play Festival on January 18th with 6 conference schools participating. The festival provided students with valuable opportunities to perform for an audience and judges, receiving feedback to refine their craft. Feedback from other directors deemed the event a great success with strong interest in continuing it next year. Thank you.
Plenty going
What's
on.
going on?
Any board members have any questions or clarifications about what Thompson Elementary said? Thank you for the reports. No questions? Thank you very much. Okay. Nobody from Dasher, so we will
The update was in the
in
board
the
packet.
board packet. And then student council, I guess they have a sweetheart dance coming up, which was mentioned by Principal Jacobson's report.
We have a new student council representative.
I've asked and we have not had somebody step forward yet.
Okay.
So,
Board reports. Well, so we just recently kind of shuffled up the committees we're on. So there won't be a whole lot, but there is a few things we can touch on. So Mr. Breeze is our new River Bend District board member. And it's my understanding that your first meeting will be this coming Tuesday at 6 p.m. Correct. So we'll have a great update coming from you in a month, huh?
Let's just say.
All right. Thank you, Member Breeze. Policy Committee. So that's got a few, well, one new member. Yeah, so Member George, you're still on, and Member Acre, you're now on, and myself. We did not have a meeting this month. So we will pick it back up on February. I think our last real meeting was in early February or December. So we've reported on that already, the last business meeting. So we have the FFLRP, so members Turtle, Breeze, and Acre. You probably haven't
We haven't had them.
had one yet, but we did have one together. Member Breeze and I and Grosum. You have your notes on that, or you want me to talk about it a little bit? It's, okay, so we really just talked about, how the school was going. The Carl Anderson team was not there at that meeting. So we got some just good chat between us three and Dr. Smith. So we talked about, down the road, possibly a storage building or storage for metal and wood within the building. Talked about some outdoor maintenance for snow removal and lawn care. Talked about our bus situation, the utility extension to get the utilities out to the site we chatted about and that associated bill. We asked Dr. Smith to get a few quotes on some general maintenance items that we'll work on in the future, you guys with the new committee. So that's basically what I'll be really touched on at that meeting. Community engagement, you guys had a meeting tonight. Member Stair and Member Breeze and Member Turtle, anything to report from that?
We talked quite a bit about the buildings or the future state of the buildings for Gibbon and went through like Dr. Smith said, that survey went out and got some good results back from them. And the biggest step is really next to talk with Dana and Michael and see kind of what next steps would be with that. And then just discuss the time capsule a little bit more. And I think this is new since last time. Rather than it being in the wall, they're going to put it into a bench so we can have a larger time capsule with better thoughtful items rather than something small and being really limited to what we can put in there. And we talked about superintendent search progress or process, which we will get to later, and then talked about some open enrollment information too. Survey is out with families who do choose to open enroll out of GFW, so if you watch this and you have that survey with you, if you would please take that and send it back.
Yeah, it's, what is the due date on that survey?
I'm not sure when he's gonna turn it
Turn it
off.
off,
We're gonna
okay.
send out, so it was sent out last week and he'll send out one more reminder email and then, week after that.
Okay. Well, it's a very important survey, so yes, hopefully we can get the participation we need for it. And the time capsule, that'll, for the public, there'll be a survey on that down the road.
Yeah.
Okay,
Nothing is decided, that's going in there,
correct, yep, okay,
yet, so nothing to worry, but yeah.
okay.
I need to, check with Kraus Anderson, this timing of when that will all be put together around that bench on this, by the stairwell. And,
Okay.
we'll have a couple months heads up on that, so we can ask our public. They have ideas for what should go in there. So we can have that ready to go.
Perfect, and you said you were meeting, Dr. Smith, with City of Gibbon and Winthrop this Friday?
This Friday.
Together at the same time or
Yes,
individual
together.
meetings? Okay.
They will see the results of that survey.
That'd be good. Member Breeze or Member Turtle, anything to add on top of Member Stairs?
No, you know, we were looking at what we do with these schools and we can have all kinds of surveys and all that kind of stuff, but. In all reality, somebody's gotta come up with some money to do something with them, so, you know, it's kind of. Until somebody has an idea with funding or backing. You know, nothing's gonna happen, so
Right.
that's,
It's, there's a lot of information to collect yet on,
well, you gotta find somebody that's willing to stick money into it.
right, right.
That's gonna be hard to do.
And they want to term it the white elephant area.
Fair enough. Well, we'll see. Hopefully, some good things come out of your meeting on Friday and we can, get some more ideas and we can discuss it more. Okay, thank you. Engagement committee, and then we have the executive committee. Which, that last meeting was probably December as well. So,
Well, we met first Monday in January.
the prior committee members, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I was not able to make that one, so, Member Grossen?
Talked about enrollment. It fluctuates up and down from one month to the next.
Yeah,
Well, there's been about 40 kindergartners coming in next year. Talked about some staff members. Where things are gonna be moved, changed with the moving to the new school. Pretty short meeting.
okay. Member Stair, anything to add?
No, nothing that isn't on the agenda.
Perfect.
I have a question, Dr. Smith, what is the enrollment for this past month or this?
Yeah, and I meant to bring that, I know. I don't know, Julie, are you able to pull that up? I should have had that, try to have a report.
5:53.
Yeah, it was 5:53 at that meeting. So I think that's the most current number, which was up a little bit from the December.
That's right, yes.
Up from, I think we were 550 or 551.
All right, thank you, everybody, for the committee reports. We'll move on to action items. So we have Mr. Bertrand, and Mr. Remy here to talk to us about the potential candidates and interviews.
All right, well, thank you, Russ. Good to be here again tonight. I think I know how to get up here.
Yeah, if you don't, you better let us know. We'll check you in something.
So first of all, what we're gonna do here is go through, we call it the district profile report. I know it- for some of you, this seems like we just did this not that long ago. And we did, yeah, we did, but, so I'm not gonna read everything in this report for you, it's for your information to hang on to. But as we do this information, part of ours is information gathering. So the first couple of things we do is we sit down and we put together that timeline of what we're gonna do for posting the position, gathering feedback, the online survey deadlines. Talk to as many people as we can to get the feedback to help build this profile. So that first page or second page, inside page there, the first sheet of paper, kind of gives that background. When we did the online survey in July, that was the only thing we did. We didn't have in-person sessions because we were trying to turn around quick to get the information for you guys to get a candidate. And luckily we had Dr. Smith here as a result of that first one. So this time around, we had some in-person sessions set up in December, and Harold over there, he was here in Gibbon and I was in Winthrop. So between the two of us, there was probably 8 to 10 different staff members we talked to help build more information, to take the information that we gathered from those sessions and then taking the online survey results to put that together for a package of information. So as far as the online surveys, you had 84 that were completed. Again, most of them were parents. Sometimes it could be a parent and a staff member at the same time, depending on how many different blocks they picked. They checked who they were. We had 115 in July for that first time around. And sometimes they get fatigued with doing surveys, so you don't get as much information the second time around when it's that quick of a turnaround. So regardless, the information from the in-person and the online gave us enough information to put together this profile. So then page 3, gathered from the information, we talk about the strengths. You got strong community support for your system, small class sizes. The student opportunities in academics and athletics and activities are great, wide range of class offerings. You have passionate and caring teachers and staff. You have a strong curriculum. The district cabinet is strong, and the new K-12 facility support in the community with the parents and the staff is strong. Again, these are strengths, and we do a summary. So we talked about 84 responses online. We talk about those in-person sessions. We don't give you every comment made. We take a look at what the general themes and messages are. And these listed here are the general themes and messages, which means they stood out. These are things that stood out. So when it came to challenges, retaining and attracting high-quality staff is a challenge. Discipline expectations and consistency for both staff and students. Low standardized test scores. Declining enrollment and lack of community growth. Finances. Moving into one building, and then the new building timelines and keeping within the budget. Now, these are all listed as challenges. You have to take into face value what that looks like. When you say finances, it could be, that might be a challenge going forward because of declining enrollment. Doesn't mean that they're challenging today, but keeping that in mind. The third thing we asked was, how can you improve the academic achievement and district operations here for GFW? Retaining quality staff would be step 1. Hire high quality teachers. More work with SPED programming and IEPs, and more ELL oversight supports. Those two are listed quite often, and that doesn't normally stand out. That just means that there's probably more training, more information about how these things work for your people in the classrooms to understand how to give those kids those supports to get better scores. That helps achieve the academic growth. A stronger new teacher mentorship program. The school calendar has many non-school days, add more time for students to learn. Student discipline and expectations, both staff and students. You see it's listed under challenge, but also a way to improve academics. And then increase classroom rigor. Any questions on those first 3 categories?
Off the top of your head, with the more work with SPED program and IEPs and more ELL oversight support, was that generally a no from teachers or parents?
Both.
Okay.
Good question. Any other questions on those top 3? So then we get down to the desired characteristics of the next district leader for the superintendent here. 1, they have to be capable of finances, a good listener to all stakeholders in all the communities, strong communicator, innovative and a visionary, welcoming personality, trustworthy and truthful. They understand small town community needs. They're ethical, logical, and empathetic, approachable and kind. Someone could work with all 3 communities and is present at community events, detailed and logical planner and strategic planner. So taking this information that we took from our gathered inputs, you turn to page 4. This is our attributes page. So there are 10 attributes listed. These are a little bit different than the ones you had in July, because the feedback is different than what we had in July. A lot of them are similar, but they're different arrangement of them and what they were. So of the 10 characteristics and attributes, number one, communication skills. You heard that listed in the information received. They have to be able to communicate effectively, both spoken and written terms. Connect with the multiple audiences, whether it's parents, students, staff, community members. They're a good listener and they value input from all audiences. The innovator, visionary, they're able to provide future vision of the school district. They're current with educational trends. They attend their own professional development to learn new educational strategies that provide positive effects on student learning. Third one was financial knowledge, understand the process of building district budgets, balancing staff student needs with financial resources available. They're able to project future budgets. Fourth one, organizer and developer. They work with the board to identify areas for potential programs or sharing position sharing may be beneficial to the district and the students. They work with staff and students to review programs and look for new opportunities. The fifth one, community and school focus. They make time to be available within the communities. They spend time with community members and parents to better understand issues. They are visible in school and available to staff and students. The sixth category, team builder. They have experience working with stakeholders to develop positive solutions to resolve issues and solve problems. Ability to build consensus with groups. The seventh category, facilities. They understand facility needs, maintenance priorities for safe and secure buildings, able to work with teams to prioritize projects and community resources. Number 8, personal characteristics, demonstrate honest ethical practices dedicated to staff and students. They are transparent in all workings with staff, students, the board, and the community. They are approachable and kind. Number 9, cultural and diversity. They have experience in and understanding of rural cultures, and they understand unique needs of diverse student populations of which the district serves. That goes back to that ELL and special ed category as well. When people hear cultural, they sometimes think ethnic. It's a whole bunch of other categories all inclusive in that. And the last one is motivator and developer. They have demonstrated mentoring skills that motivate others to perform at their highest level. Experience with mentorship and professional development programs to build and support all staff. Focused on improvement of staff and students. So these characteristics and attributes are what you're going to use next week for your interviews to measure the candidates as they interview to see how they best stack up. And I will tell you that most of the time you're going to see candidates who don't have all 10. So when we do our screening of the applicants, we look at all their information, we give them phone calls, we ask them specific questions to give us better feedback. We go ahead and talk to their references to get more information about them. So we package our recommendations. It goes with what balances with this page right here on what they submit and what we learned about them. So we have all that information to make a better recommendation of candidates for you. Does that make sense? All right, Harold, I think you're up next. With that, I give you Harold.
Thank you, Mr. Bertrand.
Okay, we've got a set of things here that I just want to share briefly with you. Why don't you just take one? Maximum.
Okay.
We'll soon be getting to the point where we're identifying who the candidates are that we're going to recommend coming around here. Okay, just a little bit of a summary of where we're at. There were 8 total applicants for this vacancy. I've been doing this since I retired in 2013. And I've done over 40 searches during that time period. And I can tell you that the process right now, in terms of the number of applicants, is much different than it was in 2013. 2013, we had a vacancy. I don't care what size the district was or where it was located. You would have anywhere from 18 to 22 applicants. And during that time period from 2013 to now, we're down to less than 10 in just about every applicant process that we've used. Actually, I'm very pleased with that you did have 8 applicants. I think that's a good showing for what the situation is here at GFW. We have 6 of those are males and 2 are females. 2 have some superintendent experience. One of those two, not very much superintendent experience, but the other one, some experiences. The degrees, 3 of the candidates had doctorates, 1 had a specialist, and 4 had what I classified as other, different kinds of ways of getting your licensure as a superintendent. Experience categories, if you look at that, some of them had superintendent experience, high school principal, elementary principal, K-12 principal, director of special ed, community ed director, director of learning and services and curriculum and instruction. All of those things are great backgrounds for anyone that's going to serve in that role. So the search team criteria, as Jeff mentioned earlier, we want to try to match the characteristics that we were seeing as we talked to the candidates and match that with the characteristics that we got through the survey of 84, as mentioned earlier. And then we spent the 2 days talking to local staff people. We looked at their training and experience backgrounds. We tried to match as much as we could, as Jeff said earlier, the desired characteristics that we established through that process. And those that are familiar with the Minnesota school operations and procedures, as well as school finance. And then we were looking for somebody who had a record of successful administration at various administrative levels over time. And if you had some experience in districts that have diverse population, I think that's a very important characteristic for what the population here is at GFW schools. So that's kind of the broad background of how the process has gotten to this point. The next step for you as a board is to determine which candidates you're going to approve to have invited in for round 1 interviews. The process that we must follow is we must share with you a brief description of candidates and have them labeled as candidate A, B, C, and D. We're going to have 4 that we're recommending, so it'll be A, B, C, and D. And we're going to talk through those. Bertrand's going to talk through those a little bit. And then if those are the candidates that you feel comfortable with, you can approve the list, and then it becomes the same handout that he's going to give you with ABC. We have another handout with their name on it, and that's just the difference. But that's the step process you have to use in doing the superintendent search. So at this point, I think we're probably ready to share the ABC list, and anything else that you want to add.
Well, there's just two more comments. One is the reason we keep it this way is everything's confidential till you make a board action to approve candidates to interview. Otherwise, the other candidates, we can't share the information to the public. It's confidential. Keeping that in mind. And then I checked today, MSBA's listing, there's currently 15 positions posted, active postings right now. So in the state of Minnesota, they're going to keep, I'm guessing, ramping up with more postings. So you're ahead of the curve. Let's put it that way. Those postings are going to be anywhere from a full-time superintendent to a part-time superintendent to a superintendent principal, those type of things. There's also executive directors. Those aren't in my 15. The other ones are just strictly superintendents.
One other thing, as he's handing that out, once you approve which candidates you're going to invite in for an interview, before we leave tonight, we'll go call those candidates and say, are you still interested? And if they are, yes, then we know where we're at. If they're not, then we also know where we're at. We'll come back and do some more work in here. So anyway, go ahead.
That kind of goes back to those 15 positions posted, so they might be looking at other jobs as well. So candidate A, we talked about those 10 attributes and the different categories and what's important for the district leadership. This person has been an assistant, is currently assistant principal of a large elementary system. They've been at the district level of curriculum and instruction, in charge of data analysis. They were at another district as a teacher, district analysis, and also did time teaching with targeted services, which is a special population. All the candidates we present to you have a current active superintendent license, by the way, so I'm not going to go through the licensing. I realize they are all active licensing. They make sure that they have that. You see the education and Helen mentioned the different levels of education from doctorates to masters and then 6-year certificates. Candidate B, if you look at candidate B, this person's been in 6 different elementary settings, 6 different districts, all of which are from different small systems, combined systems, multiple towns. Turn it over to C, candidate C. This person is a director of special services for 10 years of a large system. That means they're working with many different buildings, different clientele, different special services and student populations. And then candidate D, currently a principal, K-12 principal, and then has been a K-12 principal in a different district and was also a language arts teacher for 10 years at a branch school, alternative branch type setting, which means difficult students who are having issues with life choices and have that experience when it comes to student populations. So we look again, who has experience with finances, who's got experience with different cultures, small school, rural settings, different communities they're working with, and we make these recommendations. So when we make these recommendations, we are using the information we gathered to put it together with the attributes to say these are the best 4 we think that would meet what you for GFW would be looking for interviews. Doesn't mean you have to stick to these 4. But if we're gonna have a conversation, we have to make sure we keep it so no names are given until you make a decision.
So with your A, B, C, and D, is that in order in your opinion, or is it,
Nope.
they're just
There's no-
randomly
there's
thrown
random,
in? Okay.
yep, nothing's in order. Good question for us.
What do you use your building experience?
Yes, that's why we have a couple of them that have that experience. But again, not everybody's gonna have all 10 experience.
Excuse me. I just discovered I left my phone in the car. I'll need it.
Don't drive away, you drove. Then, I'm presuming most of you looked through the candidate profiles. And when you did that, you realized you don't have a lot of them that have that superintendent experience. And that's the reality of smaller districts when it comes to someone cut their teeth and start in superintendency. We have to look at it from the standpoint, who's gonna be a great future leader with those attributes. And I'm not gonna have all of them, but who has the majority for you? That's the table we bring to you tonight. And then your decisions during the interview process, the answers that they provide, and who's gonna best give you the information you want to make an informed decision.
Even if you haven't been somewhere.
Okay.
Even if you haven't been a superintendent, you have to start somewhere if you want.
Correct.
to.
What we need starting somewhere.
Correct, right. I'm gonna lean on you, Mr. Bertrand, for this. So if, you know, when we have a total of 8 applicants, you guys are seeing that you're under 10 in most searches. There's 15 current postings for superintendents in Minnesota. Is that statewide, or does the MSBA also have some postings that the co-op doesn't know about?
They post all the postings that people ask them to post. So if they're an MSBA member and you ask to post it, which Kelly did for you,
Yeah,
even though they're not doing the search, they still post that as position posting
there's 15 currently.
currently.
And we could expect that number to go up maybe in February or March when people start seeing some retirements happening and, okay. So, you know, so we read these resumes and it's really hard, you know, to determine just by words, you know, so that's why we do face-to-face interviews. I know it would take more time, but why can't we interview all 8?
Well, it would take a lot of time. In some larger districts, they set up 2 days of interviews.
Yeah.
It's gonna go back to time. You as a board, you have all that time available to do multiple days of interviews. I would make this comment back as you asked us to do the research, to go through the screening, to make recommendations to you based on our experiences and what we've seen work. And then we bring that to you for recommendation. I wouldn't say interview all 8. It'd be a waste of your time and some candidates' times.
Okay.
Does that answer the question for you?
Well, I mean, Yes and no, I guess. I mean, yes, we rely on you for getting us to this point, but I mean, does it come down to the fate of our school district might hinge on four people, and the other four, we maybe. You know, maybe there's some young talent out there that does need their first chance, but they didn't really fit our criteria, but if we talk to them. And you get so much more out of a person when you face-to-face interview them versus what you're reading on paper. You know, I mean, that might change our way we're thinking a little bit too.
It could, I just wouldn't make that recommendation to interview only. I would never make that recommendation to bring
Well,
everybody who applies in.
You know, I would say if there was 20 applicants and we narrowed it down to 4, well, then we had a now we know that we probably got one of them that's gonna be ours, but when there was only 8, now we're really banking it, we're really hitting the nail square on the head but that's why you're involved, so, I just was talking out loud before, so. Anybody maybe we'll start with member Breeze, you have any comments at the moment? Circle back.
I think going is a good idea.
Yeah.
And we came up with Dr. Smith on the spur of the moment.
Yeah.
Which I
Oh.
think
If,
is the recommendation, and it's very fruitful one.
okay. Member Grossum, any thoughts or comments?
I think 4 would be enough. Learn those and compare to figure out
If there's, yeah,
if it's ones that we want to interview or change the list.
okay.
Do you, member Grossman, are you getting there? Because that's what I'm trying to do, and I'm like, maybe we should do 5 because I'm not sure I'm putting together between what's here and what I have for notes, if they quite match up or not.
Same.
None of these 4 candidates are superintendents at the present time, the way it looks.
Correct.
So, what was that number, Turtle? None of them are?
None of them at the present time are superintendents that they have on these 4. Seems to be a lot of special services people that are big into special education.
There'd be one that was the focus.
Could you drill down on that a little bit more of what that position entailed?
So in a larger district, they're in charge of oversight of all special ed programming.
Okay.
To include the staff members that are under them. You're gonna have OTs, PTs, speech, the special ed departments, the teachers, the paraprofessionals. And you have to work with all the buildings in that district and principals on all those programs. You're looking at multi-million-dollar budgets that they oversee with special ed only, whether it's federal flow through money, state money, that type of thing. So they're overseeing a whole dynamic mix of programming.
Okay. And yeah, for a large district, so that, just that budget alone might be more than what we work with around here.
Probably close.
Okay.
How many of these are close to retirement?
I can't tell you that because I wouldn't know, plus I can't tell you. You can't ask age, Mark, it doesn't work.
I didn't ask you.
Oh, same idea. But again, we don't know who's close to retirement.
Well, blindfold.
So if there's 1 or 2 out of the 8 that we're really interested in talking to, and we don't recognize them on this list, then what do we do?
Well, the
Yeah,
conversation used to be, you have to figure out, are all of you on different pages? And if not, we can't use names, we have to talk about, I have somebody with this type of experience I saw on their paperwork, then Harold and I would be able to look it up to see where you're talking.
Okay. Thank you.
But again, I would recommend 4.
And some of these are probably making more money than we're willing to pay too.
All of them were informed on what the salary range was gonna be, and if they were still interested, they all said yes. So we're not, you take that one out of the equation right off the bat, because we know that, if we don't tell them the salary range and they find out later.
What is the, well, yeah.
We're all 4 of these fairly local or interested in being local,
A couple things, we can't require them to live in the district.
right?
They all talked about how they're gonna be community focused, working with the community, being visible in the community, at community events. That's all you do, ask of them.
Yeah, the day of living in the school district, that doesn't happen anymore.
No,
With a 3-year contract, they're gonna live where they're comfortable and they're gonna commute.
and there's also the other component of their spouse or family, what else that person does.
These are ours. Or you said none of these are friends.
Sorry,
Yeah.
shop ears.
An elementary principal compared to a high school principal, how are they ready enough to be a superintendent? Elementary's completely different than high school and activities, athletic and all of that is.
I'm not gonna say one is more prepared than the other. I go back to the different experiences they've had. In some districts, you're more than the elementary principal. You might be in charge of title, you might be in charge of the health services, special ed at the same time. So you have different things you're doing than high school who's doing athletics and special ed. You're looking at a leader, not so much a focus of what building they were in charge of.
Both of these have financial experience.
2 for sure have backgrounds in finances. They're all gonna have some financial experience, but not to the level of an active superintendent who's had many years of service like a Dr. Smith.
Which 2 letters?
What's
have
that?
Financial experience.
Let's see. You're gonna have, well, maybe 3 of them, A, B, and C. For feedback from you guys,
Yes.
you give up?
Well, it's pretty vague when you have A, B, and C and D. I mean, it's pretty,
What is our next?
what we're shooting at here. It's really,
If we choose 3 of these, then we look and see who it is, or
Well, you need to make a motion on who you're gonna approve for interviews. If you go with only 3, you can do that too. You know, we say no more than 4. But we can't do 3, and then who else is the left type of thing. We're gonna do the slate of people.
You can't change the motion. So after the motion is made, we can then have discussion, but we still can't say names after that.
Correct. You make the motion to approve the slate of people, A, B, C, D. And then we have the list of who they are, with names on, that's who you would do. If you don't like somebody on here, you want somebody else, we remove either A, B, C, or D. And then we put in like an E, and we put down what their information is.
And how do we communicate to you who we?
That's what I'm waiting for feedback from you guys on, as a board, so board chair, kind of percolating the conversation where we're at with thoughts on the board members with. Again, the recommendations we have are just recommendations. You as a board are gonna solidify who you interview. But I'm just gonna stand by the information we present to you is the best information we have on the stuff we found out.
In the event that we, once we agree on the 4 and we go through the interview process. What happens if we're not really comfortable with any 4 that we interviewed? What would be the next step?
The next step would be to repost the
Repost
position,
it, okay,
because the other ones that have applied,
yeah,
we're gonna tell them, thank you for applying if they're not selected.
yep,
You are not selected, best of luck. Now, if you repost it later on and they want to reapply, they can.
the danger in that. There's a lot of school districts looking for a superintendent.
Yeah.
So I think we have to have
And I know Carol's, I'm not gonna speak on your behalf, I'm pretty comfortable and confident what the ones we're presenting are gonna give you. You're gonna pick somebody out of there. So. True.
I don't know, if I wasn't here to hear all the questions you asked. The one question I have to comment on over there, you asked a question about one of the candidates recommended had an elementary background. I had an elementary background, and I was a zoo for 34 years, so I think you can't survive. And I'm not promoting that person. You learn the job as you go through it, that's for sure.
So I've identified A. And C. Anybody, any luck with B and?
B is the only one I have.
I can't figure out who he is.
Yeah. AC. and
Yep.
B, I have not. Both A, B, and B.
So, yeah, but those guys.
Let's start some conversation here.
Is there anything else you can tell us about these so that we can hire notes to it?
So about B,
Please.
it's a B. Thank you. Well, you see the difference, so 6 different school systems as an elementary principal. As Mark pointed out, they're all elementary level, which is fine.
Here's a zero.
No, if you look at how long that person's been an elementary principal or principal since 1999, in totality of its time served. And again, when you review the candidates individually, I don't know how you took notes, so I can't tell you how your notes compare to what we have for information.
That's why I don't know what to say without giving away. Is there a reason why you? If you can answer this, is there a reason why you wouldn't recommend one of the candidates that currently has superintendent experience to us?
Yeah,
Based
I'd
on-
like to know that
Yeah,
too.
based on our interviews with them, interviews with references, knowledge of the districts they're in, our background information. That's, we present the ones we think are gonna be the best fit. Just because they have the experience doesn't mean they're gonna be the best fit.
You know, kind of identified. There.
Okay.
Member Breeze, you have your, you have them identified, and member Grossman, I think you, I think you said you,
I got all.
you think you got okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
that one.
George won the game.
Started.
Oh. Oh, I think that's.
And that one started in 80.
That's what thought.
Really good on sword. That's what I got.
Not that new.
Well, I saw in the news clippings today, Montgomery closed and named finalists.
I saw that.
And they had 7 candidates, so that's the district.
Is he
What is their size?
Yeah. At least, yeah, at least.
7 candidates. So I mean, this 8 is a good number, I guess. It is.
Yeah, feel good about that.
Which is definitely different. It's different district when you. Well, I'm sensing they agree with the majority of your recommendations, but perhaps not one.
We can figure out what they
Yeah,
have for other recommendations.
so
We haven't really yet. I don't know exactly where it would be.
Maybe it's not right on your paper.
I don't know if you mentioned it when I stepped out or not. They don't have to approve four, but they want to only interview the three.
We just said no more than 4.
Yeah, right.
But we could exchange one.
Yep. You can exchange all 4 if you want to. I wouldn't recommend it though. We do spend time on this. Make sure we come with some solid recommendations.
Something like military. Most everything, but
Well, it depends on your definition, yeah.
So these are the top 4 and you don't recommend more than 4. Was there a 5th one that was very close? Or not, or these, or you felt like,
I can't tell you that one because before we recommend, I can say, like, these are not in any rank order. If they give them to you.
Yeah.
We don't rank order them. We just like to see who fits the bill. Best we think.
yeah, so that, so these were the absolute 4 out of, there was no one that was close to these 4 that you would.
I would say close or not. I mean,
Yeah. No, there was agreement between the two of us about these 4.
Okay, there wasn't,
we don't do a point system on it.
right? But so between the discussions that you had to bring these 4 to us, it was really easy.
I think based
Between
on
the
those
discussion?
attributes, those 10 attributes,
Yeah.
or who had which ones to help you identify the interview who has the most probable. So that's what we were looking at.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
We're to the point of just going through individual to say yay, nay, A, B, C, D, and then see if that's good, or if not, if there's somebody else.
Are we voting on that individually?
Not vote, I would just say polling. Polling.
That's fine if you do that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Let's see. My apologies, what's that?
Why don't you
I
go
think your
through
point
and
of-
take votes with each one?
Okay. And it's not a motion, it's just a vote.
Nope, you're-
We do the motion after it's all, and so. Everybody had enough time to vote on A?
You know, figuring out yours.
I got it.
Okay. All those,
I would make a motion.
Yeah.
or, yeah, I just,
I'm
yeah,
all right.
Just ask who's interested.
yeah,
Just a poll for number.
yeah, who's interested in A? Can you say raise your hand and that's not considered a motion or anything, so.
You say thumbs up,
Yep.
down?
A,
Yeah.
so 4. So 5 for sure, okay. How about D? So, yeah, hold your hand up just for a second. Here. So, I don't know if we're quite ready yet to. And leave for,
Sorry, I'm 4B.
we've had enough time to vet it out.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say I'm interested in D as well. Do so 3, George. Okay, so that's 6 out of 6 for B. Um, He's quite interesting. Anybody have interest in interviewing C? So no. No,
I really like the experience and I think it's. They seem really proficient in what everyone's looking for. But. I don't know if it's a small community fit.
I guess I agree with that completely, coming from, the district. Currently being worked in, Member Turtle, what's your thought on, C?
No, I just don't like what I'm seeing.
Okay, that's 3, Member Stair.
I concur with what Amy.
Yeah, seems, pretty talented individual, it seems like, but maybe
Very
not.
talented.
Ron had
Not,
great experience, has finance experience. Instead, I concur what Amy said, I feel like the community experience that we have here,
Mhm.
I don't know if it's the best fit.
Fit for their current experience.
I would actually not mind having. That candidate in a different position. To be honest.
Kristen, okay.
We'll focus on this one.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
I like where you're going with that, for sure. So, I would say C is probably off the
Okay, so
table.
they go to D next.
And then, Member Breeze, what's your thoughts on D?
I am for the,
Member Gross, Turtle,
Yeah,
and I was, so,
So A, B, D,
yes,
the polling shows. Okay.
yes, for sure.
So do you want to go to 3 or do you want to bring a 4th in?
Or why would we bring it up? I don't know.
Okay, so I have to ask the question.
Yep.
And then, without using names, you've all had a chance to look at it. Maybe you go around by one, I would recommend, so it's not a motion to say who you think you'd rather see us bring in.
Just write it down.
But in the discussion, you have to not mention the name. You have to talk about the experience or something like that.
Yep.
The person I like has this kind of experience.
could we just like write down the name of the town? And.
I don't think you have, if you took enough notes, you know, you say that they've had experience at the high school level and the small district combined
Mhm.
for this many years, or they're currently doing this job. You know, we don't know who that is. You have to make sure you all know who that person is then.
There is somebody that.
Maybe a reference to their current job is this kind of a job. That might be a good way to start talking about a candidate.
You can start.
It's your meeting.
the one that I'm interested in. Has some experience, in district chairing and. Managing 2 schools and has superintendent experience.
Well, there was only one that had that, so I think
But does everybody know who?
we know. Member Breeze, you know who we're referring to?
No, I don't. I'm satisfied with 3.
Okay. Okay. Okay, the Member Grossum, you know, Turtle, you know who we're talking
Yeah, I
about,
think
so.
Pretty good finance and budget, you know,
Yep.
worked on a bond referendum, so we're kind of on the same page as
Okay,
what we're doing.
Right.
well, so,
Like to give them a shot.
great, agreed.
Maybe they won't interview good, who knows, I mean.
Well. Then I guess we could put it to vote, but I think we already know, so Member Breeze, are you okay with, the
Before.
Yes, I
report that we're talking about?
Majority decides.
And, Member Grossum, I can, vote, I already know what you're gonna say, and Member Turtle, and Member Agreement, so I think,
We're almost ready to give you the next one.
Yep, okay.
Yeah.
There's only, wait, what they sleep at night. They gotta go through the parents, so I want to make sure that. These are all
All right, so on this document are the names. Remember, these are the names we were recommending, so please press, there's one that's no longer recommended, if we don't want to put that information out. Okay. Save anybody else out there, we're not hiding anything. So then when we hand this out, we'll talk about the flip flop of C, of who we recommend and who you actually would like to see instead. So then candidate A is Paul Hand. He's current assistant elementary principal in New Ulm. Candidate 2 is Joe Timmerman, current K-6 elementary principal in Kimball. Candidate C went away. Candidate E or D is Judd Wheatley, K-12 principal with McRae School. And candidate E, who you would like us to bring in and recommend, would be Alan Berg, current superintendent for Albany Congress / Colonial Evans. You're with the name, that's the one we're talking about, right? Good. Everybody's okay with that. So those would be the 4 names that we would make. We have to call now to make sure they're gonna accept interviews. Just because they applied doesn't mean they're gonna accept the interview.
Well, accept your call.
So, I have a funny statement, gee, at Sibley East, I had that issue with the candidate we wanted. He wants the phone, he put it off. So you need to make the motion to approve those 4 names.
And then you'll call.
Then we'll
So,
call,
okay.
as you guys do an audit or something like that.
Can I get a motion to approve the 4 candidates, that we just identified for interview?
I wouldn't make that.
Thank you, Mr. Starr. Motion passes. Oh, yeah, all in favor? Sorry, raise your hand. 6 for 6. My apologies.
Just like going to the bathroom.
Yeah, right. No. So now we'll, wait for him to come back. I think we could probably, move to item B. Well,
Yeah,
we
'cause
wait
you
for
made the
phone call.
motion, that's good.
Yeah,
If we come up with a hiccup, we'll let you know.
okay. Well, these next 2 will go pretty quick.
Yeah.
So action item B on our agenda is to approve the fiscal year 24 audits as presented. Everybody had, some good time looking at that and, asking questions. We had them come in personally and, explain it to us, so it seemed like it went very well as expected, basically. Can I get a motion to approve the fiscal year 24 audit as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the fiscal 2024 audit as presented.
I'll second. Okay. I'm gonna give it to Ackrey. Okay, all in favor? 6 out of 6. Action item approved. Okay, action item C, hopefully no kids are watching this. So, we are proposing that, Friday, January 31st, which was originally penciled in as a half day of school, now becomes a full day of school. Due to the days of school we've been missing, we recognize that maybe families maybe thought of that as a long weekend, they can get out of town early, which they can still absolutely do. So can I get a motion to approve, Friday, January 31st is a full day of school now, in lieu of a half a day?
I'll make a motion.
Second to.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Motion approved.
Why did we have that day as a half day anyway?
So, yeah, this kind of will lead into discussion about next year's calendar. I think a need that, the district has felt in the past several years is that a lot of new curriculum and staff development was needed. So the calendars were structured, I believe, with 1 early release each month. So we have 9 early releases this calendar. And while while they're useful for professional development, student contact time is also valuable. And with the day before Christmas lost and then e-learning day today, I just felt that, we were in need of face-to-face time, and hopefully we don't have a snow event on the 31st, or I can't do anything about that. So as I begun looking at next year's calendar, I will likely be proposing fewer early releases. I think we're at a point where we have done a lot of that staff development training and work. So just a note, and secondarily to that, you haven't seen a proposed calendar yet. It's going to come to you later than normal probably, and that's because of our transition into new facilities next year. I want to make sure that what we're proposing right now with the elementaries starting at the new facility, the first day of school, that is in play before we adopt that calendar. But, not February, but by March, we'll at least be putting proposed calendars out there so people who are trying to make plans for trips or anything and avoiding school days, we'll have some idea what we're looking.
With the removal of those half days, are we still gonna get enough teacher workshop hours in?
Yeah, I wouldn't be eliminating or wouldn't be recommending eliminating all 9, but maybe it'll go back to 6 next year. Because there's been a lot of staff development that occurred last year, and so far this year, we have more days in March. But I just thought, we just had this, a day off for staff development and Martin Luther King yesterday, e-learning day today, and then we're gonna turn around next Friday and have a half day. Sometimes that's hard on families that just had kids home for that e-learning day, and now they've got that half day coming 10 days later.
And the announcement will go out via email to the families.
Yeah, we'll use our message system.
So they'll get a phone call as
and
well.
Email, so
Yeah.
they're aware of it.
Okay.
But
We go back to an item on the agenda. So with the superintendent search, I can't remember what they're called, the community group. So based on the schedule, we spend some time with the 4 candidates and it essentially flip-flop. Has that community group and or teacher group been identified who would be?
yes, well, yes and no. We're attempting to get 12 people on that staff community group. We've asked several people from the community and haven't had a lot of luck. The last 3 that I've called are checking work schedules and getting back to me. So we're at a point, if they're unable to do it, we probably won't have community members on there this time. But yes, but there, so we will have principals, community ed, tech, paraprofessional, elementary, middle school, and high school teacher. That'll be the staff group on there, and then hopefully we're still waiting on the 3 community members, and they would all be parents, current parents of GFW.
So about a dozen staff.
Whole committee with the community members. Nice. Yes.
If 3 members are not making it, staff member take.
Well, we'll look at that and see. I may add 1 to it, but part of it's taken away the school day too, so then we gotta figure out subs and whatnot, so.
Just for clarification, you're referring to the admin cabinet team
Yes.
for the interview
Yes,
process.
yeah.
Yeah, we can try to get it. How many non-teachers?
Yeah, so
Just
the community
parents, community
members,
members.
we get 1 from each,
Yeah.
representing each of the community, so.
Okay. And so far, we have 0.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I suggest we get the information down for.
Yeah, yeah,
I can wait a little longer. Thumbs up, all four have accepted
okay.
of the four you approved.
Yeah.
So last thing we have then is the schedule, just to have a heads up, and you'll get this again on Monday. 1:30, we ask everybody who's on an interview to be here, so that we can do about a half-hour in-service to talk about the interview process, procedures, the questions, what not to do. Get ready for the first candidate, so your first candidate will be here at 2:00. You'll be interviewing a candidate, while the community/staff group's interviewing a candidate. Flip-flop. I'll get 2.5 hours done, then you'll have a break for lunch, and then you'll have the next two candidates come in, do the same thing. Interview flip-flop, and then at the end, what you'll do is you'll wait for the community group to come back with feedback forms. We'll talk about this on Monday, how it's gonna work. Then you have that discussion, then you go ahead and actually call a meeting to order. And then that discussion and the conversation about who you bring back is part of the public meeting. Any questions about the proposed schedule?
Well,
Because as you said, we just did that.
Yeah, you just did it, yes.
will the candidates be doing tours of anything?
Not the first round.
Okay, okay.
I'll get to the finals now.
Okay,
We'll talk more on Monday,
that makes sense.
what that next Monday would look like.
And so we narrow it down from 4 to.
That's the point. Any other questions we can answer?
Member Breeze, any further questions for the co-op? Rosen? Nope. Turtle? Ackley? There?
And these are published. I mean, returning board members, these are all public, so public is able to attend. We'll
Yeah,
press
for the
there.
board,
For the board portion of
interviews
it.
the public can attend. The community staff group, that's a public, a private.
Private.
Are we coming, sorry, I do have another question. Are we coming up with questions for?
We have the first round of interview questions ready.
Okay.
After that, next month, I'm gonna say, when we get done with who you decide you wanna bring back, I'll say, if you have a particular question you'd like to ask, please send them to me so we can put them together. It takes us a couple days to collate everything, get copies made for the next round.
So it'll be round 2.
And we can't stray away from,
Correct. The ones that we already have, you stick to those questions. So we'll talk about that at the end of service.
Okay. And anybody else, think of anything last minute for Mr. Bertrand or Remy? Dr. Smith?
All right.
Well, once again, thank you for your efforts and helping us here, and we'll see you very soon.
So we will have to post a special meeting and for this.
Yes, yes.
Tentative start time, 8:00.
Anyway, I put that, I was gonna say, leave the line blank.
All right.
No,
Monday night, the 27th, we haven't adjourned.
we haven't adjourned yet, but we already need a motion to accept support. And then they would.
They were determined to. It's in the line.
Yeah.
Based on the time of when they want to. Have they become.
So we'll be back-to-back meetings.
Any other discussion before we make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
A second? All in favor?
Who made the first?
Ken.
It's so quick.
All right. Well, good job, everybody.
Dr. Smith.
Adjourned.
Just get